Hello my dear students, welcome to the session of moving charges and magnetism, and in this particular session we will be discussing on cyclotron. Cyclotron happens to be one of the important devices in case of nuclear and atomic physics. Okay, in many cases we tend to see that the heavy positively charged particles like protons, alpha particles, deuterons, now these are required to be utilized in nuclear physics in case of study of nuclei, and these particles they must be introduced into the nucleus with a large velocity. Now under this situation, my dear friends, to produce these positively charged heavy particles at a very large kinetic energy, we require very huge amount of potential difference. A minimum of say something like 10 raised to 6 volt, a minimum of this much. So obviously to maintain such high potential difference, it's very difficult. Fine, so I'll just tell you like how it is going to become very difficult. Now let us consider two plates like this. Okay, one plate is positively charged, another plate is negatively charged here. Let us consider two plates like this. Now, when a potential difference is set in between them, obviously this potential difference will be due to what? It will be due to the electric field that is established, and the electric field will be like this. So this is the electric field we have, and this is the length between these two plates. I take this as L, and it will generate what? Potential difference V in between these two plates. Now let us consider that potential difference as V here. Fine. Now when a charged particle, like positively charged particle, is introduced into this electric field, naturally the positively charged particle will get accelerated towards negative plate. It will get accelerated, right? So let us consider its velocity as small v. Okay. Suppose I want to increase the speed of the particle, because in the beginning I was telling you people that positively charged particles moving with larger kinetic energy. Kinetic energy implies what? Velocity or speed. So it should be large. So in order to increase the speed, now let us apply Newton's laws of motion and then come back to this point. Okay, now from Newton's laws of motion we know that V is equal to U plus At, and over here let us suppose initial velocity is 0. Okay, so if initial velocity is 0, then we get this as what? V is equal to 80. Correct. So now over here, what is the value of acceleration, my dear friends? Acceleration value we have already found out during our chapter discussion in current electricity, but I'll just rewrite that formula here. Acceleration A is equal to, I can write it as m into A is equal to q into E, where q is charge, E is electric field, A is acceleration, m is mass of the particle. Therefore, I can say A is equal to what? QE by m. So this is the acceleration, correct? Fine. So let us substitute it here. So therefore, we will get velocity V is equal to what? Q into E divided by m multiplied by T here. QE by m into T. That is the amount of velocity that we will get. Now, as you can notice here, V is directly proportional to T, correct? Because velocity or speed, it depends on time, no? Now, over here, velocity or speed is directly proportional to T here. Now, in order to increase the speed, now for V to be large, from this proportionality we say that T must also be what? T should also be large. Agree on this? Correct. So if t has to increase, if time taken between two plates has to increase, then length between the two plates must also be increased. Agree on this? Correct. So then very clearly I can say that because of this reason length should also become large. If length has to become large, if length becomes large, then I know that, but E is equal to what? V by L. Electric field is equal to what? Potential difference per unit length. Correct? Potential gradient is electric field. So potential difference per length is the magnitude of electric field. And from this I know that E is inversely proportional to length. Correct? Fine. If E is inversely proportional to length, E is inversely proportional to length. But in this case, my dear friends, length is increasing. If length becomes large, E will become small. So obviously E will decrease here. I'll just repeat once again whatever I have explained. From this expression, B is directly proportional to T. And in order to increase the speed, I must increase what? Time interval between two plates. Correct? So if time interval has to increase, then length between the two plates must also increase. But if length becomes larger, we know that E, that is electric field, is inversely proportional to length. If length becomes larger, electric field will decrease. If electric field decreases, obviously the force due to electric field will also decrease. So if I increase the length and hence I want to increase the speed of the particle, but unfortunately electric field will get affected because of this. Hope you can understand. Now with this situation, my dear friends, if you want to get a very large potential difference, okay, I can increase the length. But if length is increased, the magnitude of electric field decreases. And this is the difficulty that we have, my dear friends. This is the same difficulty that was faced earlier in the history. Okay? And this difficulty was nullified by inventing cyclotron. And cyclotron was devised and developed by two famous scientists, Ivo Lorenz and M.S. Livingston. Ivo Lorenz and M.S. Livingston, they invented this particular device, cyclotron. And over here, as a matter of fact, what happened was, what principle they had adopted, that we should try to understand here. Now, as you notice, my dear friends, the length cannot be increased in order to increase the potential difference, because if I want to get a potential difference of order of 10 raised to 6 volt, obviously length cannot be increased, because if length is increased, the electric field will decrease. And this is the difficulty that was solved by inventing cyclotron. And how it was done, I'll just try to show you. Now suppose we have a charged particle, okay, and this charged particle is introduced into this electric field. The charged particle will reach to this negative plate with, say, a speed of v. Okay, let us assume that its speed has become v from 0. So for first part, let me take the speed as small v. Okay. Then this charged particle is again reversed, in the sense its motion is reversed. How we can reverse the motion? We can simply change the polarity of this plate and this plate. We can interchange it. So over here I can make this as positive and this can be made as negative. So under this situation, again this charged particle will be moving towards left side and from right side. Now, but while moving like this, obviously it might lose its speed, because here it would have lost its speed, no? So in order to prevent that loss in the speed, we can make this particle to revolve circularly. Okay. Suppose if this particle on reaching this plate number 2 is V. After reaching plate number 2, if I make this particle to revolve in circular orbit, if I make this particle to execute uniform circular motion, then obviously its speed will not be affected. No, speed remains constant in case of circular motion, correct? And thus, this particle when it reaches back into this very same electric field, obviously it will maintain that speed V. But when it reaches to the left side plate, it will gain one more amount of V here. First time its speed gain was how much? V. Second time from this plate to this plate when it reaches, what will be the speed here? It will be one more V, that means V plus V, it becomes what? 2V. Okay. Then again this particle is revolved circularly. Then when it reaches to this plate, that means left side plate, again when it is introduced, what is its initial speed? 2V. Now when it is again back in the electric field, it will again gain the speed by one more V. So thus what happens here? Its speed becomes 3V. Correct. So likewise, by maintaining same electric field and same potential difference, I am doing what? I am simply interchanging the polarity of the plates. Now, by interchanging the polarity of the plates, what happened here? The speed of the charged particle got increased from V to 3V. I hope it is clear. Fine? Fine. See here. So, over here I can say that I can make use of an alternating electric field here. Alternating electric field. That means for half cycle it will be positive and for next half cycle it will be negative. Under this scenario, what happens here? The charged particle will be reversed in motion. And in order to have its maintenance of constant speed, it has to follow what? Uniform circular motion. In order to follow that uniform circular motion, I will make use of what? Magnetic field. If I utilize a magnetic field, then obviously what happens here? The magnetic field will make that charged particle to execute uniform circular motion so that the speed gained by the charged particle at one end will not be lost. It will be maintained as it is. Then again it is reintroduced back into the electric field. Agree on this? Okay. When it is reintroduced, then again the charged particle will travel the distance of L. Okay. And under this scenario, again it will gain one more amount of V. So there is an increase in the velocity, increase in the speed by an amount of V after every cycle. Correct? After one particular motion from left to right, its speed was V. From right to left, again its speed is V, but initial speed was how much? V. So V plus V, it becomes what? 2V. Then again it is reversed, then it becomes 3V. Then again same process, 4V. Likewise, if I make the charged particle to be accelerated within the same electric field for 1000 times suppose, then what will be the speed of the charged particle? 1000 times of V. I hope you followed. Okay. So hence we can say that electric field is used to accelerate the charged particle and magnetic field is used to make that charged particle to execute uniform circular motion. So this is the concept or principle behind cyclotron. I hope it is clear. Try to re-listen to my discussion. I have already told 2 times here. So kindly pause and go back and listen to this explanation once again. Okay. So this is how I can comfortably say that the charged particle keeps on gaining the speed or velocity and it will maintain that speed under magnetic field. So its speed is increased under alternating electric field and its speed is maintained at the same value by magnetic field. Okay, because same value in the sense what I am talking about, uniform circular motion. So in case of uniform circular motion, speed of the charged particle remains constant. Okay, so because of this reason, we need not make use of very large distance so that will affect the electric field. Instead, we can maintain the same small distance, but we can alternate that electric field. We can interchange the direction of the electric field so that the charged particle will move in reverse path and thus it can keep on adding up to its velocity. Okay, so that electric field is maintained smoothly and the charged particle will gain its own velocity. So this is how a cyclotron works, my dear friends. But setup is not like this. I have just tried to explain to you like the principle. So hence, what is the principle of working of cyclotron then? Electric field accelerates the charged particle and magnetic field induces a uniform circular motion to the charged particle. Okay, now these are the two things that are involved here in this particular working. So a cyclotron works on the principle of what? Electric field is used to accelerate the charged particle, whereas the magnetic field is going to provide what? Uniform circular motion. So this is the simple form of principle that we can mention. Okay, so hence we can write the working principle in the same way. I hope this discussion is clear to you all. So what is the working principle here? Working principle is electric field accelerates the charged particle, and it executes, or else I can say, and the particle executes uniform circular motion, and the positive and the charged particle executes uniform circular motion due to magnetic field. In a cross field. Okay, I suppose this particular principle is clear to you all. Fine. So this is working principle. And what is the cross field? Cross field I have already explained to you during my discussion on Lorentz force. Remember? Okay, so it is the same cross field I am talking about. Okay, so this is what working principle of a cyclotron. Now let us focus on what exactly. I hope I can erase this. Okay, so here let us take a look at nextly how a cyclotron is constructed. What is the construction principle or construction methodology of a particular cyclotron? Okay. Now, in order to understand that particular principle, let us go ahead and consider one of the important component of the cyclotron. It is called as a D. It is called a D. Okay. Now why it is called a D, I will just tell you. The cyclotron contains two D-shaped hollow evacuated chambers like this, or hollow evacuated plates like this. This is one D that I am considering here. So this is the hollow here. Inside there is no medium. Okay, it's a hollow evacuated D-shaped plate. Okay, and one more similar D-shaped plate is considered like this. Okay, now over here again, let me just give a D-shape, a three-dimensional view here. So as you can notice, we have two D's here like this. I hope it is visible to you all. Okay. Now these two D's are placed at a small distance apart. The gap between them is a very small distance. Okay. And in this gap there is a source which is kept. The source is kept in this gap. Okay, fine. Now this particular pair of D's. Now these are called as D's, as I was explaining to you earlier. Because these are D-shaped, that is why they are called as D's only. And these two D's are connected by means of an alternating source of electric field, an alternating source like this. Okay, so that half cycle it becomes positive, electric field will be rendered positive, and half cycle it becomes negative. The source will send the signal like that. Okay, so thus we have what? We have alternating electric field. So this is alternating electric field, so that one half cycle this plate will be positive and this plate will be negative, and second half cycle this plate will be negative, this plate will be positive. It is just similar to that plate explanation I have given to you. Remember? Okay, it is just like that. Okay, so we have an alternating electric field like this. Now let me just place this alternating electric field properly oriented like this. This is an alternating electric field here. Okay, so let me just take that alternating source. I'll name it as E here. Okay, now then these two D's are placed at a small distance apart. Okay, and in between these two there is a source. About the source I'll explain a bit later. But after this, there will be a magnetic field. So we will consider a magnetic field like this. Let this be a north pole, so that the magnetic field will be sent in the downward direction like this. And here I consider the south pole. So here we have south pole, and here the magnetic field will be received like this. Right? So these two D's are kept within a cross field. Now there is an electric field and magnetic field. It's a cross field. Okay, as you can notice, this electric field will have a direction like this. Okay, then magnetic field is having a direction like this. So is it not a cross field here? So this is interior composition of a cyclotron. So two hollow evacuated D's are placed a small distance apart so that the long edges are parallel to each other. Okay, and these two D's are connected by means of an alternating electric field. Okay, alternating source of electric field, and this particular assembly is kept within a magnetic field, a uniform magnetic field. Okay, and this entire thing, this entire construction is placed inside an evacuated steel box. This is a steel box. Evacuated steel box. Okay. So evacuated steel box is placed a cubicle shaped box. Okay. So that this entire arrangement is never seen. So this is how a cyclotron construction can be understood. I hope it is clear to you. Okay. So here we have two bees which are placed such that their parallel edges, their long edges are parallel to each other and they are placed at a small distance apart. Okay. And an alternating source of electric field is connected to these two Ds and a magnetic field is placed, or this entire D is placed within a uniform magnetic field like this. Okay, and this entire assembly is placed inside an evacuated steel box. Okay, so this is the construction of a cyclotron. I hope it is clear to you. Fine. So for the explanation purpose, I will make use of one more simplified diagram here. I will take the front view of these two bees like this. I will consider the bees being placed like this. Now here I will be showing that alternating electric field source like this. Fine, okay. Then here I will show the magnetic field as well. I am showing the magnetic field as cross here. As you can notice, I am showing the cross field here, cross magnetic field. So, what is the meaning of cross? Cross magnetic field or direction, if it is shown as cross like this, then it implies what? It implies that the magnetic field is entering perpendicular to this board inside. So, it is entering like this. As you can notice here, the magnetic field, suppose I am observing the D from the top, then is it not entering inside? Look at the D from as a top view, then from top you will be able to observe this D as this shape, and magnetic field is perpendicularly moving inward. That is why I am showing it as what? Cross. I hope it is clear. Okay. Now let me just remove this part here. Okay. And I will show a charged particle like this. Similarly, I will construct one more diagram here. Similar way. Same electric field has been shown, and I am marking this D, this as a D1, this as a D2. Okay. Similarly here I am marking this as D1, this as D2, and here we have magnetic field which is being shown like this. So over here I will show a charged particle like this. Now, fine. I hope these two diagrams are simplified and you are able to make out what exactly has been shown here. And for clarity purpose, I will just remove this magnetic field from The D is on the top diagram. Okay, fine. Now, as you can see here, now let's begin with our discussion on how does the cyclotron work. Okay, so see here, when the alternating electric field is set to a particular value, okay, then a source is placed in between these two D's in the gap, and this source will be supplied with heat energy, okay, and due to thermal energy being presented to this source will get dissociated into positive ions, okay, and one such positive ion, suppose it is created like this, and this positive ion initially, say this is V1 here, this is V2, okay, so initially say V1 is positive and V2 is negative, suppose, and if V1 is positive, V2 is negative, this positively charged particle or positively charged ion which is produced here, that will be naturally attracted towards what? V2. So hence, under the electric field, this charged particle will be accelerated towards V2, because when it comes out of the source, its velocity is 0, and under the electric field, now this charged particle gets an attraction, and due to that attraction, its speed or velocity will increase. Thus, I can say that the charged particle got accelerated, and when it gets accelerated, it will enter inside this hollow portion of the D. Okay, when it enters inside this hollow portion of the D, what happens here is it will complete one semicircle motion. Why? Because the D is almost like a semicircle. So obviously under the magnetic field, it will complete one semicircle motion. Okay, and this one semicircle motion is completed in a time of how much? T/2. Why? Because to complete one circular motion, what is the time? Time is nothing but time period. So obviously to have one semicircular motion, time will go at half of the time period. So in a time of T/2, the charged particle would have completed this semicircular motion, and it reaches back to the outward portion here. So obviously when it moves inside, completes one semicircular motion like this, then again it comes out. Okay, and when it comes out, obviously its speed which was gained initially, say suppose its speed was v, okay, which was gained initially, so this same speed is maintained here, and this charged particle comes out with that same speed, because circular motion will have constant velocity or constant speed. So it comes out of this D2 with constant speed. That means its initial speed what it has gained, the speed what it has gained, with that speed only it comes out. Okay, when it comes out, now the electric field, because now this is half cycle, after completing half cycle, electric field will become what? Reverse. So obviously now what happens here? D2 becomes positive, D1 becomes negative, and under this circumstance, again this charged particle will move under this electric field inside D1. Now it will move inside D1, and while moving inside D1, again it would have gained one more amount of V here. Okay, initially its gain was V. Now when it comes out with a speed of V, but under the electric field again, it will gain V again. So obviously what will be the speed here? V plus V. That means it has gained 2V amount of speed. Okay, so when it enters inside, it will enter inside with 2V amount of speed, and again it will complete what? One semicircle. Again it comes out, again the electric field is inverted, interchanged, again it moves in again what happens here, d2 becomes negative, d1 becomes positive, so again it travels like this, fine. So again it completes one semicircular motion, again its speed will be 2v here, when it reaches to next d, then obviously its speed becomes what, 3v. So likewise this cycle continues. Okay, so obviously what happens here, the charged particle will move like this, essentially. It will move like this, correct? Finally, when the charged particle reaches to a semicircular motion of radius equal to radius of the d, it cannot move any further. So it comes out of a window. So obviously it comes out of a window like this, because it cannot make any further circular motion here because it has reached the radius of the d. So obviously instead of circulating like this, it comes out of that particular window, comes out of that cyclotron, okay, and it comes out from a window, and when it is coming out, its speed would have exorbitantly increased. So speed has increased now. Now don't I get an increased speed particle? Okay. So if speed is increased, its kinetic energy is also increased. That is why I can call this as what? High energy particle. I hope it is clear. Fine. So now let us talk about the energy that the charged particle keeps on gaining. Suppose I say that the potential difference between these two V's is V here. Suppose capital V is the potential difference. Then what is the energy gained by the charged particle in one semicircular motion? So obviously energy gained will be what? Kinetic energy. Energy gained will be kinetic energy, and that will be equal to what? Q multiplied by V. Q into potential difference. Okay, so this is the energy gained by the charged particle in every semicircular motion. So obviously every semicircular motion the speed is q into v. Then what about after 1000 cycles? It becomes 1000 times of qv. Correct? So after say 1000 semicircular motions, we will get energy is equal to what? K will be equal to 1000 times or 10 raised to 3 times of qv. Okay. Likewise, suppose if I take that charged particle through 1 lakh cycles, then it will be 1 lakh times of qv. So obviously its kinetic energy has it not increased here, my dear friends? So this is how a cyclotron works. So that is why a cyclotron is said to be a device that can produce positively charged heavy particles with very large kinetic energy. Okay, so this is the working of a cyclotron. I hope the working is clear to you all. Fine. So for any further queries, kindly contact me back. But I suggest you repeatedly watch this video lecture, and then you will gain that knowledge. You will start gaining the interest into this, and it is very simple logic that you should remember, that the charged particle will move through one of the d in semicircular motion and comes out of the d. When it comes out, the electric field is alternated, and due to that reason the charged particle is attracted towards second d, and again in that d it completes one more semicircular motion, again gains the speed before entering into that d. Okay, when it comes out, again it gains the speed under electric field, again enters into next d. So likewise the charged particle is sent repeatedly in the under the action of magnetic field through the same alternating electric field. So this is how a cyclotron works, my dear friends. I hope the working is very much clear to you all. Now, without much ado, now let's take a look at theoretical concepts behind this particular cyclotron. Okay, so we will nextly take a look at theory behind the cyclotron. I hope it is clear. Okay, now let's take a look at theory. Now, when I was talking about the time period, my dear friends, can you please tell me what is the time period that a charged particle will have when moving through one of the D? It is the half of that time period, no? Right? So that is what we are going to understand here. And let me just tell you, time period of the charged particle is independent of radius of the circular path. Remember, during my discussion on magnetic field, motion of a charged particle through a magnetic field, there I told you. Okay, so that same technique has to be adopted here. So because of that reason, here under theory part, I can say firstly time period. Time period of the charged particle T is always a constant value here. T is always a constant value. And what is the value of time period here, my dear friends? Is it not 2 pi m divided by qd? So this is nothing but 2 pi m divided by qd. This is the time period and this value is constant. Please remember this. Okay. Then radius of the path is obviously mv divided by qb. So secondly we will talk about radius of the path. Radius of the path. Okay. So radius of the path I take as small r. Small r is equal to, remember my discussion on motion of charged particle in uniform magnetic field. In that we have derived one formula. Remember that formula, mv divided by qb. It is that same formula. So radius r is equal to m into b divided by q into b. This is radius of the path. I hope it is clear. Right? Thirdly, now on the basis of this particular time period, I can also write frequency. Frequency f is equal to, again what? Frequency f is equal to 1 over time period, which is nothing but what? qp divided by 2 pi m. Then fourth, angular frequency. Angular frequency. Now, angular frequency is omega here. Omega is 2 pi into f. So obviously it becomes qb divided by m. This is angular frequency for the particle in a cyclotron. Okay. Next, after this, fifth term that we should discuss is about the maximum kinetic energy of the charged particle in case of the cyclotron. Okay, so over here we can write it as maximum kinetic energy. Maximum kinetic energy. Okay. Now, in order to find maximum kinetic energy, we will initially find the value of v, okay, velocity. So in order to find v, what we will do is, we will say let v naught is equal to maximum speed of the particle. Okay, so I take v naught as maximum speed of the particle, I will say. maximum speed of the particle. Then r is equal to that is the maximum radius, I can say. I was mentioning to when it reaches to the radius of the d, then the charged particle cannot circulate any further, so it comes out. So that is the radius I am talking about. Let me take that also as r0 here. R0 is equal to maximum radius of the particle, maximum radius covered by the particle. Okay, then m is equal to, I take mass of the particle, then as you all are aware that the particle is making uniform circular motion, and in case of uniform circular motion we will always have what kind of force? Centripetal force. So that centripetal force is obtained because of what? The magnetic force. Okay, so hence we can say as magnetic force Fm is equal to centripetal force Fc. Correct? So what is magnetic force here? Q into V0 into B. Q V0 B is the magnetic force. QVB, remember QVB sin theta. Here angle between V0 and B is 90 degree. So because of that reason it becomes Q into V0 into B. Okay, so this is equal to Fc is what? M into V0 square divided by R0. Fine. So over here we will cancel out one V0. Therefore I can say V0 is equal to, so let me find V0 here. So V0 is equal to, we get Q into R0 into V divided by M. Q R0 V divided by M we get. So that is the value of V0. Okay. Now let me just take this as equation number 1. Then maximum kinetic energy is equal to what? Half m V0 square. So finally I say therefore maximum kinetic energy is equal to half m V0 square. Okay, so can you just tell me what is the value of kinetic energy now? You can very easily substitute the value of V0 and then square, that will be our answer. So this is equal to half m into Q R0 B divided by m whole square. So it is Q R0 B divided by m whole square, which is equal to half m into Q square R0 square into B square divided by m square here. So one m cancels off. So therefore I can say Ke max is equal to Q square B square R0 square divided by 2m. So this is the value of maximum kinetic energy attained by the charged particle when it comes out. Okay, so this is one important formula that you have to remember. Fine. So I hope this particular discussion is clear to you all. Now with this note I am closing down the discussion on cyclotron, and in my next session I will be covering the applications of cyclotron, as well as I will also be covering the limitations of a cyclotron. After that we will be talking about force due to a current carrying conductor placed in a uniform magnetic field, and then we will make one more derivation on the same thing, and then we will be discussing the force between two parallel conductors. Okay, so that also we will be discussing in my next session. So I hope today's session is quite clear to you all. So just repeatedly listen to my lectures, have a clear, thorough idea about it, and write down all those things that I have mentioned on the board by watching the video. Okay, so for any further queries, kindly contact me back. Okay, so until then, have a nice time, enjoy learning. Thank you very much.